Council, February 13th, 2024 meeting. If I can have everybody stand, we'll say the pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Here.
Here. Trujillo?
Here.
Joe Saylor?
Here. Indication, please.
Bow your head. Dear God, we gather here today in your presence to conduct the business of the town. We ask for your blessing and guidance and help us to support the town in the best manner possible. Amen.
Thank you. Adoption of the order of business of the day. January 9th minutes.
Richard,
I'm sorry?
I would just note that there is a bit of business we need to finish from the local Board of Finance meeting from January.
Okay.
We're supposed to have some minutes and taken care of, and are they ready or?
I just gotta go get them. 5.
6. Now you can use one of ours.
It's okay.
We can share.
No, I had it right there.
We'll just pause for a couple minutes until she gets back with some copies.
Melissa, before you run, I want to make sure that we'll know what minutes we're getting.
Yes, from August.
Okay. Well,
No, Board of Finance from last year.
it should be, the 2023 January minutes,
Well, it was in February, I think. Or was it?
either January or February.
Yeah, Board of Finance for 2023. January, February.
Make a copy.
You have it.
Okay. Read it. What it is. I don't know what I had.
Brad, did you ever figure out your trunk issue?
But yeah, like if the person's insurance ultimately
Your office.
check, but it has to go to the dealer. That's like titled until it came over. I needed, so I can send it to me, right back to him, basically. It shows up on like the balance sheet, whatever, his office number, by the same type of truck or whatever.
If you could give that to me, that'd be great.
Wow.
Totally crazy situation.
That doesn't happen every day.
I'm going to all that questions over on the side.
Either hadn't sold my truck
To him, but
so it's like, yeah, I don't need a rental, I don't need anything. I
You
mean,
even have insurance on it yet? Well, you probably wouldn't have if
I didn't call him, but insured. But I called them
30 days or something.
let them do it until like my insurance
so
didn't, because the other company
blow at it.
he's expecting to give me the best. Okay, I can,
So I need to call him so I can just ask for him.
why get mad about it, you know?
Reroute.
That's kind of, whole thing's kind of wide.
Probably happens more than you think, just not local.
Items, right?
Yeah. I called him for new white.
Yeah, I'm out,
Thank you, sir.
sizable chunk.
It's
Matter,
hot topics.
matter, I mean,
Festival fireworks, yeah. I mean, it is.
Glad it's working out. Yeah.
I can tell you everything unless it's on the back.
March.
March,
Yeah, I think I'm finally getting my roof settled. Good.
March 4th.
Long time coming.
Trying to patch you.
No, I told him I wasn't paying full price and had to negotiate a new deal. But Owens Corning wouldn't work with me, so it's one of these things.
Oh, it was a warranty issue.
Yeah.
It was all
Capital improvement economic plan.
That's irons.
$1 million to do baseball field.
We've got new irons and
We don't have any land for it.
So we got by the land. Because I heard they were taking these out.
you can have.
They are.
I was like,
That's,
By 2025, I
that's
think,
exactly what
the
I
girls
heard.
and the boys.
haven't
So we have not
gotten around to
talked to anybody. Where we're gonna do it from then? Are we gonna try to buy and build our own?
Well, the school was supposed to
down in Franklin, took my son.
deal with this on a piece of property, but
Walk
I don't know if that's changed or not because that superintendent left, but he wanted to lease it to
I
us.
didn't know any of these
Wanted
guys.
us to spend that and then lease it to us, the land. And we're like,
At home,
Leasing,
yeah, but there's no guarantee you get to keep it.
and the guy
that's the problem.
now and
But it could have changed with the new superintendent, I don't know.
shows up. It's one of the guys I
Carmen's had some.
Monday.
Really?
So yeah, I was like,
We were actually going to,
I was like, wait, here you want
What
the driver
fraternity were you
too?
at?
1 point for something.
Oh, so you were with Drew. You were in the same one as Drew.
I was thinking, oh, this is back in Norton's days.
I'm trying to catch them.
Maybe thinking about.
I don't know, there was something we were gonna trade them, they were gonna give us the land and we were gonna trade them for something.
But he
It was stormwater fees.
second first one. So he,
Yeah, I'm just amazed. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
Little bridges at a time. Little bridges. Yeah, and
One at a
I did, yeah, I did hear that
I still have
one of the things that they were closing the ball diamonds down. And I was wondering if we was just gonna start using out there at Park Plaza.
Yeah, 20 bucks.
Great. Out there until we decide.
No, I'm like, put a sign.
Out Rock Lane?
Yeah.
It's not big enough.
Yeah, my grandson plays over here. It's great. I ride my.
I get paid for it when you're done.
I don't have to fight traffic. I go up to the grass and I'm right there. Best thing in the world. I hate to see it leave, but
that we had that.
I mean, I guess things change, and it's how it is.
Yeah, it's my first apartment.
They don't even.
And we put so much work into the girls when my
Here's
girl,
this, here's some pots, here's glasses, here's this. And then I
Did it.
outfitted this old kitchen for him.
she built
Because it's like, yeah,
so much work into that. Like,
but it's like, if I listen,
It's just
Things
sad.
happen.
my time gets wasted.
Things
Time I
Change 'em.
charge for
we
anything.
built,
Either
high
show up and I'm there, I give it to them. Hey,
took us 2 years to get approval for that.
like I hate it when people.
We finally got
You're doing my,
did a lot of the work.
finding all the
Construction.
up, so
Built it, messed up
I replaced my
and didn't.
sink.
It's
New, so I gave it away. It's still functional, still works. It's 20 years old.
so
And then I got a dryer. Need to tell my wife, I said,
make us come out.
garage for a month,
And they did.
give it to somebody,
They let them do.
You lost your tournament.
So then we lost
get it out of here.
state tournaments, whatever.
Things are tough with people.
Yeah, I love coming across where I can like help.
Yeah,
It's very rewarding.
Money was already spent.
Are you doing your floor yourself?
yeah.
I had my basement done in an epoxy.
Oh, didn't he?
And it was,
It is Harlow Place. It is so expensive. I mean, like one weekend we went to the tournament. It was $20 a person.
That new technology.
about $5.
$20.
You went,
We were at Center Grove.
yeah, I've seen, that looks good.
Yeah, I'm staying
Pretty.
tired, but I'm making everything I can.
Smell real bad.
Like 8 years.
Well, grandparents should have
Doing some prep work.
paid the whole time to people say. The grandparents should be grandfather.
Not a problem at all.
How can we vote on this if we were here?
Well, we have enough. I think we could,
If you read it,
Yeah, we
it's
got
not your decision making.
where you can rely upon.
I was here.
Better.
Got 3 of them right there, so that would be enough for
Richard,
me.
Brad, me, and-
Just
yeah.
that way we keep it up and everything's right.
And
That's how
what I
I
would
wanted it.
recommend you do is recess the current council meeting and reopen
January.
the local Board of Finance meeting.
Yes.
And that was continued to today.
Okay.
Reopen it and then take care of adopting the, then you can close it and go back into.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and recess the February 13, 2024 Town Council meeting. And we're going to open the local Board of Finance meeting from January 10th, 2020. 2024.
For the purposes of adopting or approving the minutes.
So moved.
And we should let the record reflect who is here.
So who was there then or who is here now?
No, who is here today.
Okay, so we take a roll call for this meeting, please?
Okay. Was there a motion or anything?
Not yet, just, we want the roll call just for the.
Okay. Tim Brown,
Here.
Brad Godecker,
Here.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Here,
Richard Hill,
Here?
Taylor. 5.
Thank you. So we need a motion to, so does anybody have any questions about the meeting notes at all? That was just handed out?
I believe that those are correct.
Do I have a motion?
To approve Board of Finance meeting minutes, January 10, 2023.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Saylor, Mr. Godecker? So we can take a roll call vote, please?
Okay. Tim Brown,
Abstain.
Brad Godecker,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes?
Joe Saylor.
Yes.
Pass 4-0 to 1.
Did you print one for you to sign?
So do I close that then? We'll go ahead and close that finance meeting for January 10, 2023 and 8 a.m. for 2024. I apologize. We'll go back to the town council meeting of today, February 12th, February 13, 2024. Any numbers? Is there anything else, Mr. Watson, for that brings us up to speed, I guess?
I think we're.
Okay.
Adoption.
Adoption order business day, the minutes, January 9th, 2024. Have any questions, concerns about meetings from last meeting?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for January 9th, 2024.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Vote, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes?
Joe Saylor. Pass 5-0.
Next up is the voucher packets, 13th, 2024.
Armin, read them off because we started to do this new thing.
Dr. Packard.
Sorry.
Was this okay?
Ah.
I have a question. Gibson Insurance Agency? Is this a quarterly payment? Yeah, it says workers' comp, but,
And then
for
there's
the whole year? Okay.
$500 for the bond. Or already, that's part of that amount.
So you bonded with Gibson?
We couldn't do a blanket bond.
Okay. Okay.
And we're being refunded for,
And Schroer Services, it's underwater. I didn't look to see if it's under anybody else.
no,
Did they raise their prices?
no, it's probably 2 bills. It's like 235.
Yeah.
And I think it's 2 bills.
470, yeah.
Yep.
And Town of New Whiteland,
That is for reimbursement for the FEMA, for the tornado.
oh, to pay them for helping us? Okay.
Well,
CMP. So that's it. I think that's all I had.
That was a little test, wasn't it?
I passed that one.
But I didn't have, so, you know. Yeah.
Anything else from anyone else? This side? Any questions, Joe?
Not for me.
Okay. And do we vote on the voucher topic? Okay, apologize for that. A little rusty. So can we take a vote on the voting for the voucher pack, please? Roll call, please.
Yeah, motions.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Roll call. Tim Brown,
Yes.
Brad Godecker,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes?
Joseph.
Yes. Thank you. Now, financial reports, book treasure and PowerPoints.
Yes. Well, and did this, lovely little thing. I think it's a good idea, and it's now on the screens that we're gonna do every month. And she did this, I'm gonna let her do it, and then I will be able to do it next month.
This is pretty much for the audience to see. What I did is basically put us back to the rolling 3-month on our financials. And there was something that was high or low or outside of the normal. I added a notes column just so you guys could see that. So as somebody has not done this for a while, again, if we can kind of craft this to help you guys answer those ahead of time. And so balance answers first, which is not fully reconciled yet. So as we move forward, the first month you see most likely will not be reconciled since the end of the month. We're only 2 weeks after the end of the month. And we're getting kind of into 2023. So general fund balance is 262,025.7. On the senior operating balance, 397,448.52 cents. And again, if there's any highlights or notes, it's the sewer improvement fund balance is $566,910. The water operating is 525,744.77. And the improvement is at 500. So that's happy. Any questions? We're going to be digging on some of our unbalances and other benefits.
Carmen, can you give a time frame or Melissa, a time frame on reconciliation? I mean, what are we potentially looking at? What traditionally, how long did that take to do the prior year? Just kind of bring everybody up to speed, if you may, please.
Should have everything, before the next town council. I'm working on, that's my goal.
Okay, thank you. I like this, easy to read, so thank you for whomever whoever's involved putting that together. Appreciate that, thank you. Any other questions for Melissa at all?
Well, did you explain why you got new reports out?
I did the original reports, they were 2023, and then I was told how to get January 2024, so that's what your app is, the revenue that was on your desk, fund. Yeah. So it's for all of 2023.
Okay. Thank you.
Does everybody know what the 1782 notice is? It's in your packet.
That's probably, county's assessors issues with the DLGF, right?
It's the DLGF approving the budget.
It had to be redone because of the county, right?
It did?
Yeah,
Oh, you're talking about the little,
agricultural land is the value.
right, right.
Was this something we had, is this just FYI information, or is it something we have to take an action?
No, FYI.
At this point, it's FYI.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about this budget at all? Yeah. Anything else? Good? Okay, thank you. Thanks, Melissa. We'll move on to old business, which is ordinance 2024-01. Continuing town purchasing policy, second reading. Would you like to speak on that? No?
We revised it after the meeting. There were some things that the council member had given as far as the symbol of see the straight through and then the red underline is where Stephen can make those requests back in January.
So I have one on page 3 of 7. Halfway down. And it says, starts with any individual purchase in excess of 25,000 has to be approved by town council, notwithstanding the foregoing. And it talks about emergencies, public health, welfare, safety. So whatever, up to 50,000 on that, is that what that's saying? They're allowed to spend up to 15,000 as long as it pertains to the emergency?
Correct. Also has to be approved. Either the town manager, the director of administration, or the council president.
It's a or, not an and, for like council president and?
The council president is only needed if the town manager or the director of administration is not available.
Okay.
And we definitely, depend on loss of utility, stuff like that for emergency, anything like that. Right. It's loss of service.
Well, and it is defined in a fairly pretty good sense, in that a bona fide emergency condition threatening the public health, welfare, or safety, or threatening injury to persons or property.
I agree.
That's what would be considered an emergency.
Yeah. The only question I have.
Did that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mr. Brown, did you have any questions, concerns at all what's proposed?
I like it better than the last one. I appreciate you rewriting it for us. I really.
Mr. Saylor, Mr. Godecker? You have any?
I didn't have anything on it. No,
No.
thank you.
So if there's no other question or concern, do we have a motion on the table at all?
Approved. Ordinance 2024-01.
Do we have a second?
I'll second. Go ahead, move.
I'll second it.
Deb seconded. Take a roll call vote, please.
Ben Brown,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes?
Joe Saylor,
Yes.
Cass Slide.
Thank you. Next item, we're into new business, which is ordinance 2024-03, consent to liquor retailer permits. Ms. Carmen.
Municipality that has a population of 5. So when a new restaurant or establishment comes to town and plans to serve alcohol, they have to get approval basically that says we would allow it. We've never had this. We have 2 establishments that currently serve alcohol. But it came to our attention through the ATF, Alcohol Tobacco and Firearms Commission, that we have to have this. Our census population has it under 5,000. 2020, but our projected census population as of now is over 5,000, but they will not allow us to use that unless we do like a special population count. And so anyways, so we have an establishment that when they went to go apply, they were told, you can't do this until the town has an enabling ordinance, and so that's what the ordinance is, pretty much, 1950 brought up to 2024 that we have to put this in place until we get 5,000 population.
So it's not, liquor stores aren't included.
It's open beverage serving.
Open beverage, okay. Yeah, both of them.
Yeah.
Any questions, concerns on this ordinance? We have a motion.
I'll move to approve.
We have a second.
Okay.
Mr. Saylor, Mr. Godecker? Take a vote, please.
Yes.
Dixon?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
0.
Just for clarity, that is just the first reading. So it was, unless there's a waiver of the rules, so suspend for the rules. Come back for second reading in March.
Move to suspend the rules to allow for a second reading today.
I'll second.
Do that.
Roll call vote on suspension of the rule.
There's a reason why we can't.
Tim Brown?
Hold on for just a second, please. I'm trying to figure this out because
So an
I
ordinance,
kind of hate to jump out of what's protocol because we got protocol for a reason. This is, everything lines up. If we keep making motions to just give something, it kind of makes me curious of why. If I get it, it's something small, but if, I don't know, I think rules are in for a reason, I think. But
is there anybody needing the approval?
Still,
Okay.
Right, and it's not going to hurt us to follow the rules and do this in a second reading and keep everything. We can vote on it since there's some.
Well, and just to, I guess, my personal preference would be to pass it so that we make sure that our local businesses are able to legally comply. And my recollection of the statute that you're referring to is that it basically says that an ordinance cannot be passed at one meeting unless it is passed with, I believe, unanimous consent
To suspend the rules.
and to allow it to be heard at that first meeting. So to do what the motion is currently now is to follow the rules. There's 2 different rules that you have to abide by. One is if you have less than unanimity, then you have to hear, it has to be heard at a second. If there is unanimity, then it can be done at 1. So I don't know that it's a violation of protocol.
I'm just curious because, like I said, this is my first time on here, and I want to make sure that I know the right and wrongs of it. For, the public and people what watch this know that we're just not changing things to speed up process for maybe a local business or maybe to get things to go quicker. That's why I brought it up. That's why I was curious. Thank you.
Great question.
I mean, just so that everyone knows, I assume we're going to proceed with a vote on the suspension motion. Unless that's a unanimous vote, as Joe mentioned, then it will have to go to the next meeting. So just wanted to make sure everyone understood.
Let's go ahead and take a roll call vote, please, on the suspension of the rules.
So who did suspension of the rules? Who? Brad and Joe?
Brad, and then Mr. Saylor seconded.
That's statute.
I thought I just double check.
No, it's fine.
You ready? Tim?
Just let him finish.
Just curious.
Are you ready for votes, or?
I think he's looking up something too, aren't you?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready for the vote. I wanted to talk to him because I want to make sure that we was following what's correct and stuff. I do apologize to everybody. I am new at this. I'm trying to make sure that I do things right and that I don't mess something up for everybody and the people who put me in there. So
Zero need from, as far as I'm concerned, to apologize for anything, Tim.
I know, I'm just trying to do it right.
Harm, no foul.
Thank you.
You don't know if you don't ask.
Okay, we're ready for a vote?
We're ready.
Okay, we're ready this time.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Fred Godecker,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
Joe Saylor,
Yes.
passed 5-0.
Now we have to go and
Motion to pass it through second.
second reading. So do I have a motion to pass this ordinance 2024-03 for the second reading?
I move to pass second reading ordinance 2024-03.
And do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Mr. Godecker, Mr. Brown, roll call vote again.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
Saylor,
Yes.
5-0.
Thanks, everyone. Ordinance 2024-04, rezoning. Ms. Carmen?
Property 179 North State Street. Residential R2 to C2. Commissioners is audience for that. Basically, he purchased the home to the north and west of his property, which will make a complete rectangle for him. We're doing like a knocked out. He purchased the home, which is already been demolished. And the intent for this is to again rezone it as commercial C2. There would not be there will be they'll be using it for storage. And so it's not that it's going to be another expansion of his business, but it is to be, have storage, I think, for that off market.
Storage of what? Storage like parking lot, mini barn, stuff like that, or garage?
Exactly like what it does, you know, it's
Okay.
gonna 2 bays in it for garages, they don't move them off in the trailers, stuff like that.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
The plan commission with this is 6-0 vote.
Favorable recommendation.
Favorable
6-0.
to be passed on to the council. Questions on that?
No, I don't have it.
I think we gotta draw the line somewhere, Mike. The last little nod, Mike, let's continue.
Mr. Hill, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2023.
Do I have a second for this ordinance?
I'll second.
And just for clarity, attention that your motion is to pass it on first and final reading, just so that everyone understands. Zoning ordinances are unique and they do not require 2 votes or 2 readings. But just to make sure everyone's clear that the intention is to have it be final today,
Yes,
I just want to make sure.
thank you for the explanation. Yes, first and final reading.
Definition tonight. Mr. Godecker and Mr. Brown seconded. So if you have that clarification, we take a roll call vote on this, please?
Yes, Tim Brown,
Yes.
Fred Godecker,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
Joe Saylor,
Yes.
passed 5-0.
Your buildings look good, sir. You did a good job.
Rectangularness has been achieved.
Next item up on the agenda is the town attorney engagement letter. Gives me great pain to talk about this.
I think
No?
we're not on the same
Yeah,
agenda.
that's what I got.
Hold on. What,
Out there.
yeah, there's an update.
Okay, I didn't know that.
There are two other items that
Just grab what's out there if there's some still out there. Thank you.
Sure.
ER.
Thanks, Rick.
Well, I'll do my funny when we get back to you, so we'll.
I can't wait.
Hold that thought. Stole my thunder there.
Sorry.
So Carmen Sewer PER revision.
Yeah.
Apologize for the mix-up.
Last year, we was looking for put together a sort of preliminary engineering. Once we got that, reviewed it, sent it off for a second opinion, we found that there were quite a few errors. There were overestimates on what the project would cost, and just a bunch of things that just didn't sit well with us, and so we decided to pause that project and asked the second engineering firm to put together a different proposal to revise what they currently have and edit that, bring it up to speed, make sure it complies with all the item reports, and give us a true PER that we can pay for project funding. It'll get us a project that the project that was, if we would have built that, would have failed on day one. So that's the last thing we want to hear if we go forward with a multi-million-dollar project, is to find out it is inadequate from day one. So we had Commonwealth Engineers put together a professional services agreement, which Stephen has reviewed. Edits the estimate. Okay, well, we're in the process, right?
Well, remember Commonwealth.
Oh, never mind, my bad. Commonwealth. Sorry, Stephen did not review this because it is a conflict of interest. So we brought Lynn Gray, who we had hired on as a second attorney to review the proposal. He reminds me when I send him something that he can't review. So, yeah. So Lynn Gray reviewed it, that everything was good. Just wanted to, again, their agreement, they're asking for $40,000 to review and update the PER so we can have a product that would, one, not only accurate when we take it for funding, but also give us a product that's worth it. They put together a report. Most of you have seen this. We've not played the package before. They leaves out the things that have been done differently, and other things we did is they took our scoring that we had as a score to the Indiana Finance Authority and said, here's some areas where you could get more additional grants. We were taking that we weren't even close to even, we were on the lower end of all of the projects that were submitted. But there's some different items that we can add to and consider that would gain us additional points, that would make us more competitive when it goes to state revolving fund for their scoring in that. So that's where we're at. We'd like to get this updated so it's ready to go. The other thing that is missing, that is still a missing piece, and was a missing piece last year, is an asset management plan. So that'll be some work. So we probably will not take this to the SFF for this year, but it'll be next year. Just due to the complexity of putting an asset management plan together, that is a requirement of IFA to submit for SFF. So I'm going to get this updated, make sure it's what we need, and then be ready to go for next year's cycle. have to answer any questions, but we also have representatives from Commonwealth here that know this stuff way more than I do.
Carmen, would, on that asset management plan, if in fact we were to consider this proposal, would Commonwealth help in assisting creating that plan along with this price tag that you're mentioning of?
It would be an addition. So there's three components to an asset management plan. One is, some of this the town can pull together. The other one, which is in process, is a utility rate study as well. So looking at our projects we have in the pipeline and looking at what our current rates are and what would we need if say SRF doesn't fund this, or how would we pay for a project like this? So that's another step that we're already in process. But again, that's another reason why we probably won't be able to apply for this year. We need an asset management plan, we need to have a rate study completed, and then we have to have this in New York. And so we have the one specific demographic, what's the impact, and then you have the finance component, and then you have technical. So with that, the asset management plan you provided me, was that another?
Depends on how much you guys provide.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's something they would potentially assist with us and guide us in the right direction instead of taking 3 steps back like where we were. Okay.
How much have we paid Westler? Just say big or little. Big. All right.
The contract amount, that also included the UV replacement. That contract amount was $159,000, and I believe $1,000 left.
Okay. And is the UV replacement done?
Yeah. Accepted.
Jack, it's very much done.
Are we seeking redress from them?
That we can dig in, see if something makes sense. You know, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow.
No, I understand. I guess and I mean this in, my only hesitation about it is that obviously defects are discovered in Westler's work from what I'm being told, and those were done by a review of Commonwealth. And we award the contract to Commonwealth. Without having a third party look at it. It just makes me hesitant that we're not going from one to another. And I mean, no offense to Commonwealth or your work or anything like that. And my only hesitation is that the reviewer is the contract recipient. But that also is what it is. We're also looking at spending even more money for another review of something that should have been properly done by the original company in the first place.
Did the review.
And you're satisfied with the product they've provided?
I mean, methods that Al can probably speak to as to how they got the calculations and that I feel like is a better, it helps to better tell the story of what's going to with our sewer plant instead of just looking at the numbers and again, how they evaluated those calculations and came up with the estimates. I'm confident in that, but again, I'm not an engineer, so I get what you're saying. You have a third look by, somebody else to check their work, kind of thing. They may look at the calculations a little differently. Al, would you like to kind of speak to, how you put the meat to the potatoes on And he's the CEO, president of Commonwealth, and love it and singers, so.
Is there any way we can get a copy of that?
Yeah.
Wow, quite the introduction. My name's Paul, I'm with Commonwealth Engineers, and Teresa introduced me to 2 or 3 town managers prior, I think. So we wanted to have an opportunity to work with you guys. With and local, and he offered to do a courtesy review of the PPR once it was done. And so we performed the courtesy review. I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and that's what my specialty is wastewater plants. And it's just as much about the individual you're working with as the firm that you're working with. Because there's some individuals that work with the firms that maybe aren't as experienced. A lot of the things that we found with like less experienced working on it. We have what's called monthly reports of operation. Monthly reports of operation, they identify what the flows are, what the loadings are. And the previous PER took everything and averaged it all up. Said, well, here's what your loading is. This is the average for the last 3 years. And that's not how you do it. You look at your average each month, and then you take your maximum month. Because if you just took the average over 3 years, every time it's over that average, you're going to violate because it's too heavy a load. You know, you have to meet your permit every month. Mm-hmm. So it's just subtleties like that that you look at and you kind of know because you have the experience to do it. Some of the other items which must have been the request at the time for the assembly of the PER. It was clear the request was to expand the existing plant with the existing technology. And that was going to work because the existing technology was activated sludge, your growth was very substantial. So if you build a new plant that was going to be 2 to 3 times the existing plant and you turned it on, it's not going to work. You don't have flows. You're designing for once everything is completely built out. And you need to have the biology for everything to work. So you'd be feeding dog food to a plant, or you'd be having tanks offline until you experience the growth. And there were other options to look at. You could look at alternate technologies like batch reactors and phase improvements. Construct smaller improvements, maybe a second satellite plant, and split the flow, and maybe you wouldn't have to increase sewer sizes. So I don't know what the dynamics were of the previous assembly, but being able to just take a look at it myself and identify these type of items and what your council members also with the scoring, we know how the SRF scores, and they promote regionalization. They want you to take unsewered areas and put sewers in, and if you want to have your PER score high, so you get preferential financing, then you know what the scorecard is, and you look at it and see if you can kind of provide the reviewer with what you're looking for in order to provide you with a higher score. So those items weren't emphasized in the PER, and that's what resulted in the lower score. So we certainly can provide some improvement in scoring. We certainly provide a better product for you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Do you have any more of those presentation binders? I know we have some new council members and maybe some others would like to review their information and data. It's pretty extensive.
I think we have to
If you do that for me, I'd appreciate it. And I wanted to thank Joe for bringing up that point, because I've run into this previous at different engineers that I've worked with in the past, that you're correct, that one engineer does things a little different than another engineer. So there are some high points that he can pull out that someone didn't on the last one, or vice versa. So that was a concern of mine, is, the same that you had, Joe, and I do appreciate you bringing that up for me.
I personally have seen the report, and I would concur with Slim and Carmen. I mean, it's
an area you have competence in. And
yeah, and I would feel better if Tim and Deb and everybody was brought up to speed to take a look at this. There's a lot of pronunciation and abbreviations that I have no knowledge of, but it was really interesting to hear a professional talk about the potential inefficiencies on this. So.
Question I got, like, say if personally, I'd like to table it until I got that book. And that way I could read through that and take a look at it. And since Deb's new, I don't know if you've not seen it or not, but I would like to see it.
I don't think I have I?
Right. I would like to see it before I voted it on anything like that, just to be honest, because I hate to vote on something that I'm not 100% sure on. Question everything. But my question for you is, if we do this now and we can't turn everything in for a year, isn't things going to change within that year that we're going to have to go back and update? And that's going to cost us a little bit more money for you to update that for the time that we turn it in. The $40,000 gets you started. But is there going to be additional charges as we get closer to the year in to turn this in for the following year? That's what I'd be concerned about, is knowing that, is this going to go all the way, or are we going to go halfway and then have to stick another $40,000 into it?
Utilize what I can utilize to what needs to be recorded. So there's going to be alternate projections. The $40,000 is the basis. So I'm project for you. I'll hand you something. The SRF reports are due by each year, and they're planning documents that have 20 years time frame. Well, there's not going to be any changes significant enough in the 20-year time horizon when we assemble this report that would preclude us from being able to submit it on the until next year to require additional updates.
So if we wanted to table it to give me a little time to research it, it's not going to slow the ad down that we have to have it now, is what I'm asking. We'd be all right if people would agree to vote on the table. Would we be all right to table for next month?
Time for them to make the revisions, but I think we could wait another month.
I would greatly appreciate that from the board, but that's, I'm just one person, and that we can vote on it however we want to do it. But I would like to make a motion to table this until next meeting, until I can get the book and go through it. And then if I have any questions, I can get with Carmen or Slim or you and go through it and say, hey, if there's any questions I have, you guys might be able to answer. And I'd feel more capable of voting on something like that next month. Yeah.
It's not going to jeopardize any of our reporting structure in April.
No. That's why I was concerned, just making sure that didn't happen.
50 days. And indicate that it's from the information. Once you provide all the information back, we'll set a kickoff. So, yeah.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
So we're not going to start our sewer project until next year?
From what I understand.
You don't say score well for SRF funding. They do offer like lower interest rate loans, but then we need to look at the other projects we have in the pipeline.
But I mean, are you planning on putting off the sewer project till next year?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. That's how I took it. We were planning everything till next year.
And IDEM's okay with that?
Some Band-Aids we.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen anything in the file cabinet that I don't.
If Tim were to review and then we got caught in a pickle with timing, we could call another meeting, right?
Yeah, we could, if we got caught where we needed to.
We're in a time crunch, we could call an executive session to like.
It could be an executive session.
Be a special.
Special meeting.
You can't vote on nothing.
Can't make decisions in executive.
Okay,
Yes, but it doesn't sound like there
doesn't
is.
sound like we're potentially in a time crunch at all.
So, your vision, say, okay. This is our plan, correct? And then I'll say, okay, good. Let's enter into an agreed order, and it's gonna be commensurate upon your plan and scheduling. Leave the park in a position.
I would second Tim's motion to. Tim made a motion.
Motion to table this until next month until I can get all the books in.
So Mr. Saylor second, so we'll take a roll call vote on what, so we're gonna suspend this,
It's just, yeah,
just suspend
table
it,
until
just
next-
table it till next month.
Next month.
So after review, internal review. So we take a roll call vote, please?
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Edgar Decker,
yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes?
Taylor,
Yes.
passed 5-0.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
And Carmen, you'll be able to send anybody the electronic version? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I guess we're segueing into the water sewer project updates. Mr. Sean Young, please.
It would be, we were gonna repair it, but it would have been the second time we repaired that line. And come to find out, we did find another repair in there. Concrete was pulled out. So I opted to, 50 feet of, 8-inch from manhole to manhole. But in the meantime, Indiana American Water called and said we're ready to change the meter out from 4-inch to 6-inch. So we changed the meter out. They changed the meter out. And one of the valves that we used to turn it off, we come to figure out that it was only open about halfway. So dealing with the sewer, I hired a contractor to replace the valve. In the meantime, I got a call that our pump, all the parts and everything were in for that. So I went and told them, asked if they wanted to go ahead and do that while I'm working on the sewer main. And so they started in trying to make the concrete pad and everything for the booster pump. And after everybody had went home, we had a T that decided it didn't want to be on the line anymore. So it decided to blow itself off and just cause a big mess. So, questions on that?
I got some. The boil order notice, has it been lifted? I've not seen anything come across that says it has been lifted. Okay, that's good.
For notifications?
Probably not. I get a notification by everybody else calling and telling me what's going on, but I've not heard that yet. Dude, when we put people on our boring order, so we drop a lot of pressure that we have to go to a board because IDM says anything under 20 pounds, you have to do that. So what my question are we telling people, can we send something out like saying, hey, it lost the pressure. You should, be mindful of your water heater, be mindful of shutting things down because we burn elements out. 3 times ago, when my water went off, I lost my elements and had to rebuild my whole water heater.
Have a one call thing, but getting everybody to sign up for it is kind of a battle, I guess you could say.
It is.
Correct. And I agree with
They
that.
send you a text saying, hey, water's off or whatever.
But we can send something out on our bill with a little reminder, hey, low pressure, this is what you guys ought to have a little checklist. I'm just trying to notify the citizens and stuff like that, because some of the older people might be on a budget where their water heater, if they start running their water heater, it's going to burn their elements out. It's going to start costing people money, the loss of the water. And that's what's concerning me, because my biggest concern, I got a call because when we had to shut schools down, then people were taking off work for e-learning days and stuff like that. And I said, well, I'm trying to find out. I'll talk to Slim. But then I talked to you and you said it's, maintenance, and that's what we're trying to do. So, and that's just a little reminder we could send out. I was thinking, saying, hey, due to maintenance, this could happen, but we are trying to maintain our water system and bring it up to and that's all I was asking, like, say if we had a little checklist or something.
We also only have so many characters that we can use.
Right.
Before it charges us more. And we only have so much on the bill that we can, I can see about what we can do about that.
Well, the only thing is, when the water heater goes out, it's going to cost someone $1,200 to $2,500. And if we can help out by just saying, hey, be mindful of your hot water, don't use it through this period. It's just a common courtesy thing, and that's all I was asking, just trying to get the and I know we got a concerned citizen page, and then I'm sure Whiteland, we got all that stuff. And I was just curious about if there's something we could do to help town people out to notify them.
Facebook post town we posted, I always do a link to the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, that talk about how you can use the water that you do have, what needs to be boiled, what doesn't. Nowhere on there, I just double checked, but nowhere on there does it mention like, hey, you may want to not, turn off your water heater and things of that nature. So what we try to use like a reliable source of, if we provide additional information, a list like that, we can certainly add it to our, when those notices go out, and then we can just refer them to our website or something.
What I'll do is I'll work on that. It's fine. And I'm just trying to get the citizens used to something. If something happens, they know a little checklist of what they're doing and get this going on. And we're just trying to help save some money for the citizens, because like I said, luckily I could fix mine. So I didn't have to pay labor costs, but I had to pay $75 for all the elements, thermostats, and everything to replace mine from the last time. So it's just a thought. Now when I know it, I shut the water heater off just to make double sure. Thank you.
Slim, just one other point, just thank you very much for all your efforts. I know you worked all night, and your crew and a mechanic and some other guys over there when I stopped by. Appreciate it. The towns appreciate it. So kudos to you, department, everybody, for doing what you did. So thank you.
Thank you, Slim.
Thank you. If I can ask a question or two. So this was the result of an unfortunate circumstance and like trying to upgrade and avoid these kinds of problems.
Yeah, some of it was, but the part that actually blowed out was never uncovered. It was still buried in the ground. And it just decided, the fittings that were on it, they're not like a bag of lug where you have to clean them in on your pipe. These ones were just gland packs, which is pretty much at the big O-ring, packs in fitting. And it just decided it didn't want to be on there anymore, and it come loose because there was no restraints on it or anything.
Yeah. So, obviously, you don't want these circumstances to happen. No one does. What kind of opportunity is there to identify additional possible weak points in the system and, create, like a wish list or whatever of, okay, how do we make that not so much a weak point or better redundancies and stuff? I've talked to Mr. Hill about this a couple of times where it's like, okay, is there an opportunity over a period of time to be like, okay, hey, we're looking at the system, certain portions or parts are older or kind of at the end of their life cycle, other than, getting to the point where they failed, whether in a year or 20 years, but, that'd be great if it lasted forever, but, I mean, trying to figure out, okay, hey, we found 5 or 6 or 7 things that we could proactively do to, make the system
Kind of
better.
what we did when that flowed out, is, that was the time to do it, so we replaced a bunch of fittings that were there to get rid of, we got rid of a bunch of fittings, old fittings that were there, so now it's just strictly pipe instead of having couplers here and a coupler over here, and stuff here that made no sense. Well, but we upgraded quite a bit of it over there. And we repaired all that. There is a place. Yeah. Repair.
And Brad's a good point, because I had asked Slim about to do predictive maintenance, not preventative maintenance. Predictive maintenance was like what you're anticipating, old infrastructure potentially having problems. They have cameras and things like that to where you can do that type of research and stuff, but it's very, very expensive, and we don't have that resource, but we have resources we can call to help us. But those wouldn't be something like, you would use a camera when you know you have a problem, not use a camera when you're just trying to predict something, an intersection or something like that maybe is 60 or 70 years old. So it's kind of, it's a touchy subject. So, yeah.
But it's something we need to think of. SewerCam does all the sewering. They can run the cameras. You can get with them and work out a deal with them, and they can come in and do so much a year on a budget, and that's something what would help Slim out to know what's good, what's bad, because none of us can see under the ground. You can only fix a problem when we find it. But the preventative maintenance on the sewer is running cameras, jetting lines, cleaning everything, making sure that it's working. And that's the big thing, is just preventative maintenance. We need to either say, okay, if Slim comes up with the program, say, hey, I'd like to jet and clean these and camera these lines here because this is Old Town, to see what's into, because we could be getting a lot of I&I infiltration too. So that's something what would be knowledgeable for him to make a game plan, say, okay, we know we need to replace the sewer on 2 streets because we're getting I&I, which adds to our sewer plant, what costs us to treat rainwater. So a good maintenance program like that benefits him to know what's coming down the pike, and kind of helps him out, saying, okay, we got our camera, we know where this problem lies, and they'll video every bit of it, show you where every lateral is and all that. And that's a good program for him to actually help him out to do a better, trying to figure out where problems lie, not having a problem. Because if we would have jetted them sewers, he might have found it a little earlier than, just by jetting and cleaning and stuff like that.
Where was that line that broke at?
Kitchener line. One with that,
No, I mean the water line.
Chadlow. When I drove by. And I did stop when I finally got back in town and looked. It looked like he put all new valves in and stuff there, and mega lugged everything.
So when Indiana American changed the meter, they didn't touch the valve? Okay. Okay. Thanks for your work.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Sean. Anything else? Carmen, Slim, at all? Next item is department heads. Mr.
No. Update on.
This is your turn.
Yeah.
There you go.
In my
You've
moment,
been waiting for this.
Determined to skip that.
I'll keep it fresh. Yeah, sir.
Talking to you. He's asking about your.
Oh, yeah.
Your letter, your engagement
On
letter.
an annual basis. It's,
Like this.
in this case, we are asking for an adjustment of the rates. Increase roughly commensurate with the rate of inflation. Ask you favorably consider that. And I would point out that you are getting a significant discount over our standard rates.
Yes.
Yes.
But has there always been two different amounts, 230 and 275?
Not always, but I know we did that last year.
Okay.
I can't remember how far back that goes. We've done that with Greenwood.
Okay.
Joe, is that reasonable? I'm gonna check with my guy.
Unfortunately, everybody wants to pay right.
I had one in my back pocket. I'll just wait.
So those appear to be right down the middle for municipal rates as I see them.
Anybody have any questions with this at all? So we need a motion to approve, to accept the rates. Mr. Watson's law firm. I have a second. Do I have a motion? A second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Roger Decker,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
Joe Saylor.
Since I'm an indirect competitor, I'm an abstain.
Pass 4-0.
Thank you.
Okay. Now back to Carmen.
Just
I got too many scribbles on my.
So I put together, and we did for the board for list. This is an increase of the tried my best to get every side of it in there. That is a capital project. We started this last year when we did dollars. So just did some upgrades again after getting input from all the department heads. Just a couple of things to point out. We were talking earlier about asset management and of the life of infrastructure. Something that is on this list is the next 3 years. I tried to highlight that. And then if you look over to the right where you see a whole bunch of red, that means that those are unfunded projects as of yet. So there are things that we've kind of identified. Some of them have true numbers, some of them have estimates. But again, it's just something that we can use as a tool as we set our projects and for the town and trying to find funding within our own budget or other grants that are it's a 5-year plan. If you look at the bottom right number on the second page, don't follow these years.
Already did.
This is where things have never been put on paper. And so I put on paper as a talking tool to provide this with areas to find revenue and find funding and type of projects that can keep things top of mind. So doesn't mean that all these projects will happen. Just to get something down as a working tool, not only for us on the operations and administration side, but for you to have, so you're not, blind. So, be happy to answer any questions if you have any, but again, it's a working document. The other thing I just wanted to, I emailed out in regards to the insurance. When we set our budget, I didn't know that these businesses the liability was going to be, and I guess I'm asking because the areas where we are projected to spend this money from or to be able to pay the insurance premium, we will go negative. In the past, we've allowed our utilities to go negative. Utilities that you give this money as what for your budget, and then testing how you would like for us to come in the year projecting that it's to go negative. Just because the money's in the budget, you guys saw all the balances, improvement fund balances. I feel like to be fiscally responsible, more things go negative to make people aware. We ask before we allow something to go negative if it wasn't either budgeted properly, well, that's mainly it. We've had a lot of negatives in our utilities, and it doesn't mean again that we don't have money that you're not budget the previous year. And some of those things is going to be hard to control. And this was one of those things we had to guess what our insurance premiums were going to be, and we had a shortfall. So it doesn't have to be when it comes to utilities or anything that is close to being negative, meaning we budgeted enough. How would you like for us to bring those to you?
You already do when you bring it in the voucher packets.
If you approve the voucher ticket and then something goes negative, the next month you see it as a negative instead of pointing it out and saying, storm, well, you guys don't approve water, this line item is getting ready to go negative and this is why, just to provide a little bit of explanation. But then I feel like if we disclose that ahead of time and we can notice that, then it's the budgeting for the future years. So when we have a shortfall, still one item, we need to make sure that we, well, not just justify why we spent the money, but do we actually need more money or do we how would they?
Do we need more money? What does that mean?
Is it okay for us to continue spending what we're spending on office supplies? Because that seems to be like, everybody needs a whole box of baby cups and mix of things there, but I'm just saying, let's use it as a sample. Did it address it? Expense or just because somebody whatever it is. Paper clips because Deb liked to save all those.
I keep my paper clips when I go to the bank.
But I'm just saying, I think we need to be a little bit more responsible with our line items. And just because we have money in a total operating balance to ensure that it's going for the utilities that it's meant for, I think that there needs to be a little bit of reeling back on some things there.
Well, I think you're already doing that by making all expenses go through you. So,
but again, it's.
I think, to her point, I think she's just trying to wrap her arms around some of the budgetary items. And quite frankly, seeing some of the negatives that we have and so forth, I think, personally, I would like to see a better job of pulling those negatives. I don't know what the magic number is of a threshold of notification, and I think she's just trying to bring awareness to the council and create some dialogue and some discussion before we just, it's hard to go through the packets in a short amount of time and look at all the numbers and then just say, hey, approve, let's make a motion to approve. So if you're truly digesting this, it's a reasonable request to kind of wrap our arms around this and be have better fiscal responsibility. So I don't know what that magic threshold is.
I don't necessarily want a threshold, but a perfect example is the insurance premium because we spend it out of multiple funds. But if you're looking at a voucher packet, you're in water operating, and it only says $10,000, but then sewer operating is also $10,000 for the same bill. By the time you add up all the funds that it's being paid out of, it could be a $60,000 bill, and it'd be hard for you all to kind of piece that together. But for us, again, it's I don't want to have to say, do you want us to come back and revise the budget every time you go negative? Just kind of, hey, just so you know, when you go through this voucher packet, this particular appropriation item is going to go negative, and this is why.
I guess my expectation would be it's going to go negative earlier in the year, which is going to indicate that it's going to go negative by a significant amount by the end of the year. It'd be great if you let us know.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I'm not super concerned.
you never know what happens with utilities. Cannot anticipate utilities.
I think she's just trying to like bring it to our micromanage, but just.
Liability insurance, we did raise the liability insurance when we didn't know they were going to renew us. So I had some concerns about the email you sent out. You said $33,000 was the increase, but you only increased water and storm.
Some of their operational went into the general fund. And I compared it to where our percentages were previously. And so where I did request in stormwater, I'll have to go to them and ask them how they'd like to pay. The sewer department had 24% of the total budgeted for insurance premium coming out of sewer. But then what was showing out of water was only 15% and then 9% out of storm. So to kind of make it a level playing field, if we're going to use our utilities, I feel like I bumped up those two, looked at what our difference was. And so sewer, again, the percentage changes just a little bit. But the sewer would be the same amount that was budgeted, which would then take the total to 21%, and then water and storm would go up to 17%.
But storm's not equal. Storm doesn't have as much liability as sewer and water when it comes to covering vehicles, machinery. Storm doesn't have that.
A lot of these being paid just out of one utility that has like the Centerpoint bill. We have being paid out of one utility instead of where the usage is actually occurring at the location. So this plant may use a lot more gas to run the sewer plant than say, well, the street garage right now doesn't have a gas meter. But, so there's just, and maybe we look at the liability to say like, okay, well, we paid this XXX, but that is one thing that I plan to change next year is just because we paid one utility, like Centerpoint, of one utility instead of spreading it across the true department and where that location is. And same thing with Duke. Streetlights are being paid out of water or whatever the utility is. And I think it doesn't really, we say, what does it cost to run our sewer plant? We have no idea. Unless we dig into each bill, because what's approved in your budget isn't necessarily accurate. Where the location of the utility that's being used.
I know general fund has a heavier liability because of all the police cars and all of that.
Which that one actually went down. I kept the budget amount steady. So the percentage is 42% to 37% of the total. It's good. That we put towards the general fund in our liability and control. So, I mean, we can definitely look at that for this year. This is my recommendation, but I would like to again dig in and say, where is our liability? Like you said, if it's, we have police general fund and police cars to ensure that all of those costs are coming out of the general fund and not spread out in the water department or sewer department, et cetera.
Well, I was told that's originally how it was done. It's how much of the liability is in the general, how much of the liability is in the sewer, how much of the liability is in the water. And of course, storm has hardly anything. There's one car, so, and one employee per se. But originally, that's how it was divided up. And so it was just continued from that.
And I'm saying that we can't look at the liability, just in budget overall for this year. That's what I'm kind of suggesting. And like I said, as we dig into what does it cost to run X department and how is that paid? Instead of just relying totally on the utilities to fund not everything. So we don't have to do anything. The other thing, just, we've been working on the lead service line inventory that's required by EPA. And we have uploaded our financial list, but there's additional funds available, that we plan to apply to, just to kind of help us as we go through that inventory and getting it updated. It'll also help us work on a PO for that lead service line project. That has to be done by October of this year. But like I said, we've got our initial list uploaded into the system. But we have to scrub through these kind of folks that said that they had lead, or they had all of them. They had lead, copper, PVC. They didn't know what they had, so they picked them all. So we have to kind of scrub through and audit that. This is Southbrook Street. Those are all the updates.
Okay. Thank you so much. Linda, did you have anything else you need to comment on? Thank you, sir. Okay, now we're down to the department head. So, Mr. Funkhauser, do you anything you'd like to speak on, Virginia?
No.
Share? You sure?
No, I can just give you a quick update. They had started doing all the station. So I started turn that down. Set up. So hopefully,
Okay.
So,
All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Chip? You sure? Okay. Julia, you want to speak on his behalf at all? No? Time for comment on anything? Do we have any public comment? Anybody like to say anything, speak, or going once, going twice? Okay. With that, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thank you.
Appreciate everybody coming.